Well, folks, good evening to you one and all, and welcome to the Second Gear Production Studios. My name's Gary Fleming. I'll be joined this evening by Frankie Yennis, the voice of West Motorsport, and we're going to be bringing you the latest in iRacing in South Africa, live from Velgelegen down here in a wet but very cold and friendly Cape Town. Frankie Yennis, good evening to you.
Good evening, Gary. Everybody at home that's watching this production. Hi, hello and welcome. We come to you from Spielberg in Austria for the Porsche Cup, brought to you by ASAP New and Used Motor Spares. Outside temperatures 19 degrees, partly cloudy, 15 km/h winds, and track temperature is 34 degrees Celsius and 677 meters above sea level. Track is just over 4.7 k's long as the qualifying stint starts, and that is Mark Devereaux. You see out there on the circuit. Jaco Steyn is the next man out there with the 88 car, and we say big thanks to him as the cars begin to work their way around. That's Leonardo Bakari. That's out there with the 22 car in this 10-minute qualifying session.
Yep, the guys are going to work their way around. One warm-up lap and then two flyers. They can do a total of 2 laps, flying laps as such, after they've done their warm-up session. For the Mpina out on the track, the 33 of Peter van Zyl. Beautiful, lovely silver color. It looks so... This looks like got 15 layers of paint on these Porsches when they come in that silver color. It looks really nice. Wayne Masters out there and joining us this evening as well. Nice to see that the 20 car is also out there. The comeback kid Robbie Teings with the Bolt car. Let's hope all goes well for him to be able to have a very good session out there this evening. Mark Devereaux also joining us as well in the Verizon car. And then I see Low Wrigley also out on circuit as well.
Yeah, Low out there with that 44 car, busy working his way around, and this is going to be pretty decent stuff for Low as he works his way around the track with 2 minutes and 35 done in the 10-minute qualifying session. Low Wrigley out there with a Porsche number 44. Pretty soon we're beginning to see the times come through. We haven't seen Atti Nagel post a time yet, or Jaco Vos. As a matter of fact, none of them have posted any times yet. That is Jaco Steyn. That is out there with the 88, working his way around the circuit. 3 minutes and 2 seconds done. We still got 7 minutes in this qualifying stint, brought to you by ASAP New and Used parts in Pretoria West. A big thanks to everybody involved in ASAP New and Used Motor Spares.
Probably going to be the first man that's going to put a time up for us. There we go. There's Jaco Steyn. The next man that's going to be coming through will probably be... Let's see if we can pick him up there for you quickly. There he comes through, Atti Nagel. And then Jaco Foster has got a time up as well. Mark Devereaux is also going to be putting up a time in the not too distant future. Yep, he's just put his one up. So let's take those numbers away. We're not too worried about seeing that. Let's have a look at the intervals between the guys as it comes up.
Right, so 7 cars so far have posted times. Mark Devereaux is 1.9 seconds off Jaco Steyn at this point in time. Here is Wayne Masters, busy working his way around. And we normally see him race in that Volkswagen Challenge that they've got up there in the northern region, which is equivalent to our GTI Challenge down here in Cape Town. And I must say it's a pretty decent driver in that series as well. Is Wayne. He's in 8th position so far, way off the pace, 2.7 off Jaco Steyn.
Still waiting for a time for Peter van Zyl. There's Peter van Zyl out on circuit. And as we said, the top 8's already in there. Robbie Teings, Leonardo Bakari, Rudiger Schussler, and Peter van Zyl. That's the guys that have not put times up yet. The Bolt man, Robbie Teings, working his way around the original comeback kid in the 23 Porsche. See, ooh, Atinachel goes to the front end of the field. Wow, that's a goodie in the Team Jesus car.
131.791 there for Atinachel in the 78 car, sitting out there in a P1. And 0.2 of a second behind him is Jaco Forster. As a matter of fact, the first 5 cars are split by more or less a second, just under 1.1 seconds between Atinachel all the way down to Pieter van Zyl. That is 1.096 off Atinachel. Wayne Masters still circulating in 10th position. 2.985 off Atinachel is Wayne. Ooh, that's the Volkswagen Challenge that they take part there in the northern region.
Oh, the front end just washed away there on Wayne Masters as he came through that last corner. And that was the Red Bull corner that he came through. Now going through Niki Lauda curve. And then down the hill you go and work your way towards Remus. It's a long straight that you work your way down there towards Remus. It's a flat out all the way through up into 6th gear. And then slow it all down. It's an uphill and a very tight corner that you need to make sure you don't go outside of track limits. Going through Remus and then through to Schlossgold. That little bit of a kink as you work your way downhill. Staying on board there with Wayne Masters. Atinachel is going to be coming through in the not too distant future. It looks like Willem Pina is going to be coming across the line. There he does. That's Willem Pina. He only manages to get himself through to 9th position. Pieter van Zyl up onto the 3rd row of the grid. A nice run by him. That will work just fine for him. Mark Devereaux comes across the line at 135.045. Jaco Forster's finished with these times. He can't go any further whatsoever. Let's see Wayne Masters as he works his way around. He's coming towards the end of the lap. That's in the number 20 car. Wayne Masters finds himself 3.041. But remember, he had that heavy wash away on the nose on the last corner on the previous lap that he did. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one is notably quicker. He is 3 seconds off at the moment. And no, well, he gets it to 2.6. So only 4/10 that he manages to go quicker on that specific lap. Jaco Steyn is still trying to get himself on the other side of the grid. He wants to get himself into the pole position. He is presently on the front row of the grid ahead of his best mate Jaco Forster and Louw Wrigley that bedeck the 2nd row of the grid. The 3rd row provisionally Pieter van Zyl and Robbie Teens. The 4th row provisionally Herman Lazarus and Mark Devereaux. And the 5th row Willem Pina from Wayne Masters. Leonardo Beccari still to put a time up. And he got into the fray very late. And I just hope it doesn't affect him to be able to do the necessary there. Oh, Jaco Steyn. I saw that one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Jaco Steyn just managing to pip Atinachel there by 0.06 of a second, 0.065. Jaco Steyn puts that Porsche of his in pole position. Well, it's actually a big pity that we've only got 11 cars that went out there to practice, and so far only 10 of them have posted time. Just still waiting for Leonardo Beccari. It's a bit of a disappointment that we've only got 11 drivers out there for this one. I really thought that we would have about 15 to 20 cars out there. But yeah, it is what it is. That's what we got. And I'm sure that they're going to put up a pretty decent performance.
Yep, 8 minutes 52 into the 10 minutes of the qualifying. All's well that ends well. Everybody working their way through. Leonardo Beccari that was not able to put a time up. And Rudiger Schussler that has not put a time up either. So 12 cars in total it will be. So to those of you that have just joined us, we on round number 5 of the MSA Porsche Cup, the Pro-Am Series. And this is the run-off after the top 40 in South Africa that take part in the GT3 Series, the MSA iRSA Motorsport South Africa, iRacing South Africa 2023 National Championship. And that carries 60,000 rands worth of prize money for that one. So this being the Pro-Am Series, Mark Devereaux works his way around. We're just 15 seconds away from, shall we refer to, touchdown.
Yeah, 10 seconds before the end of the qualifying session. You see the Verizon car working its way around there of Mark Devereux. He's in P7, 1.5 off Jaco Steyn. He's not going to get any higher than that. The 10 minutes qualifying stint is over. It will now be a 45-minute race, presumably with a compulsory pit stop. Jaco Steyn, Atti Nagel, Jaco Forster, Lou Wrigley, Robbie Teings and Pieter van Zyl round out the first 3 rows of the grid.
Then it's Mark Devereux, Herman Lazarus, Willem Pina, Wayne Masters, Leonardo Beccari, and Rudiger Schuster. I see Rudiger Schuster has not clicked in yet. Let's hope that all works out for him. For Rudiger Schuster, everybody else is up there on the grid already. So for those of you that have joined us late, this is where we are. It's round number 5 at the Red Bull Ring.
Right, the lights go off and away we go. It's a standing start, 45 minutes of action. Already trouble at the back of the grid there. That will either be Masters or it is Masters. That's had trouble. Oh, and Atti Nagel hammers the wall very, very hard. And Atti Nagel has dropped all the way down to P10. He might even end up behind Wayne Masters. Luckily for him, he does not.
Well, look who's done the proverbial hair on everybody. Jaco Steyn, he wanted that pole position. He wanted the front row of the grid. He got that front row of the grid, and he's making it count.
Right, so Steyn is busy running away at the front end of the field, and we'll put up the intervals for you shortly. There's this whole grid of cars coming through. There's a 22 of Leonardo Beccari. He sits there just ahead of the Verizon car of Mark Devereux. And this is a replay of Lou Wrigley also losing the tail end on the opening lap and making an issue and a problem. And that's where you see Wayne Masters go wide there on his left-hand side.
Yeah, he was just a little bit too wide and didn't get the power down correctly and evenly. And that is what caused that situation. So unfortunately, that takes him right out of it. Jaco Steyn, well, he's looking good.
Jaco Steyn, 2.1 at this stage, ahead there of Jaco Forster that sits there in that second position, with the Robbie Teings 1.2 behind Forster, then 1.1 behind him. In the 33 car, we've got Pieter van Zyl, and then right on van Zyl's case, we've got Herman Lazarus. He's been hunted down there by Willem Pina in the Michelin car. There's 0.3 of a second between them. And here is Atti Nagel. Now, that mistake, running very wide there, was that Beccari? Yes, it is Beccari. That could cost him that 7th position, as Atti Nagel is right there on his case, and behind Nagel is the Verizon car of Mark Devereux.
Yeah, I think Leonardo Beccari should actually move across to the right-hand side. Well, he was very decent about that one. He didn't close the line off for Atti Nagel, and that costs him. But right in there behind them is Mark Devereux.
Yeah, Devereux 0.5 of a second off Beccari, and the two of them are right on the case of Nagel. But Nagel will be getting away now from Leonardo Beccari. The gap is getting bigger between Nagel and Beccari. There you see Nagel coming through. There's Beccari with him, followed by Mark Devereux. But on the top end of the scale, Pieter van Zyl in P4 is 0.3 of a second behind the man in P3, namely Robbie Teings.
Well, right now Robbie Teings is sitting on a podium position, so he'll be pretty set on making sure that he doesn't give that one away. I take it there'll probably be one pit stop for a bit of fuel in this one. That could play a bit of a part in it, as Willem Pina starts to close up on the back of Herman Lazarus.
Yeah, I'm reckoning anywhere the pit window should be 25 minutes, somewhere around there. I think the quickest man out there, 132.459, is Forster. That sits there in that second position, 1.7 off Jaco Steyn. That's the Michelin car of Willem Pina. You normally see him in the Castrol Racing outfit colours. He's got the Michelin man on the side of that, the 57 Porsche representing the UK and Ireland. He's Willem Pina in P6, and he's 0.6 of a second behind Herman Lazarus of cheapercars.co.za.
Running it quite wide. That's on the edge of track limits, but no problem for Jaco Steyn, the man that does all the homework behind the scenes in terms of the MSA GT3 National Series, in terms of the Porsche Cup as well. and I think he does a lovely job to get it all together. And there's still 3 more rounds to go before the end of the season.
Yeah, I want to say Jaco Steyn for Gazoo Racing, Toyota Gazoo Racing. They didn't do too bad at the Mar 24.
Yes.
They finished in 2nd position, did the Toyota Gazoo Racing team. But I got to say, Forza Ferrari, well done. After 50 years away, they brought that car home in P1. But yes, well done to Toyota Gazoo Racing for finishing 2nd at the Le Mans 24-hour last weekend.
Well, you'll get the lovers and the haters, and you'll probably find the haters will say, Formula One, rather try to do a bit of endurance racing. You guys seem to be doing a lot better on that side of the world.
132.236 for Jaco Steyn. He's the quickest man out there, as Pieter van Zyl is all over the back end of Robbie Teings as we ride aboard here with the van Zyl in that 33 car. 7/10 of a second between himself and Robbie, just ahead of him as they work their way up the hill towards a turn number 2. And that is a very, very sharp right-hander that they're working their way towards. Will be later under brakes. He's not close enough to have a lunge. He'll close up under braking as they work their way out of this tricky right-hander and work their way down towards turn number 3.
Well, going into turn number 1, this was Leonardo Vicari, and we've seen numerous guys have that kind of problem there. Remember the Porsche with the motor that sits at the back, the 911, very powerful, and at the end of the day, if you climb on the loud pedals just a little bit too hard, they tend to throw the back end around and head straight towards the scene of the accident. And the main saying that has been going around the world for the last 30, 40 years is, if you're racing with a Porsche, if it doesn't feel like your Porsche is trying to kill you, then you're not riding it hard enough. And that is the characteristics of these Porsches.
Just a very nervous motor car. That's what a Porsche is. It doesn't matter how you set it up. It is a very nervous car, and you've got to know your stuff behind the wheel of the Porsche. Pieter van Zyl at this stage knows what he's doing, because he's 3/10 of a second behind the Team Bolt car of Robbie Teings as they race down the main straight. Will he have a lunge up on the inside? Will he have a look-see now? Yes, he does have a look up on the inside, but I don't think it's close enough. No, the line gets covered there by Robbie Teings out of turn number 1, but Luke is coming right back again. Is Atti Nagel, 7/10 of a second between himself and Van Zyl. And remember that Robbie Teings had trouble out there, caught away into lap number 1. And Atti, I should say, and he dropped all the way down to about 10th position. And he's now sitting there in P5, is Atti.
But Frankie, there was a very confident close the line off there by Robbie Teings. I like that. He had no doubt in what he was going to do. He was comfortable.
Yeah, but they got to keep an eye there on Atti. But yes, he knew that there was enough space for him to close the line there on Van Zyl and not cause an accident between himself and Van Zyl. But now it's on, because Teams is still under pressure here from Pieter van Zyl and from a recovering Atti Nagel. Oh, Van Zyl goes up on the inside. And it is Teams that's on the wrong side of the track. He's not on the racing line. And Pieter van Zyl will make the move, and he will not make it stick. It turns himself around. That was not Robbie Teams that touched him. He got it all wrong there and got himself sideways. And now he's dropped down to P6 and is in the clutches of Pieter that makes the move on him. Pieter goes to 6. Van Zyl drops down to 7.
Well, Pieter didn't wait whatsoever for that opportunity. The moment the door opened up, he just kept the hammer down, stuck his nose in, and that was that. Atti Nagel on the move as they come into the braking markers. Jaco Foster, that's updusted and disappeared into the future. Here's Atti Nagel with Robbie Teings, and Herman Lazarus with that has come just a little bit closer.
Yeah, here we go. It's game on. It is Teams and it is Nagel. That is side by side, and he just holds it there. Ooh, and running wide there is Robbie Teings, and he might lose out to Herman Lazarus, because Lazarus is right up there on his inside. They are side by side, and Lazarus does have his nose ahead. The question is, who will have the line? I think it will be Herman. Yes, and he makes the move stick there on Robbie Teams.
Robbie going to do the comeback on the inside line, and no, the comeback kid not going to be able to make that one. Just behind that is another little battle that's going on, and that's Pieter van Zyl that has now broken away there from Willem Pienaar. But remember, Willem van Zyl did have an off track. Let's have a look at that one again. Exactly how it happened. Just too hard on the gas. I think that there was actually a bit of contact there, Frankie. Whether it was netcode or not, I don't know. But
I don't know. I think he just lost it all by himself. And then initially Peter dropped down to 7th, but he's back up into 6th ahead there of Pienaar. Either way, he's going to fight his way back, which makes it exciting for us to see how he fights his way back. There is Herman Lazarus, and right behind him, 4/10 of a second, we've got Robbie Teings in the Team Bolt car. Just ahead of them, you see Atti Nagel, and then Peter van Zyl. Watch out for Peter van Zyl, 2.1. That will get a lot closer. This is a replay of Pienaar just exceeding a little bit of track limits there.
That's why the gap got bigger, is because of that specific maneuver where he had to roll right out of the gas, and that created that. Leonardo Beccari on a bit of a fight back, and Leonardo Beccari has just made the move there on a Willem Pienaar.
Yeah, gets his nose ahead there of the Michelin car. And then Beccari gets it all wrong and overdoes it and gives that position right back there to Pienaar.
Well, he had that one pretty much waxed, but yeah, just a bit of an overshoot. You can see he got good drive coming down the hill, and had oodles of speed to be able to get it in there. And then, yeah, just too late on the brakes, trying too hard. Actually locked up the back wheels, but luckily didn't turn in too much at that stage of the fight and managed to keep together. Speaking of which, Frankie, remember this guy?
Yeah, his name is Jaco Forster, and he's 1.7 seconds ahead of, Jaco Steyn, and he's 1.7 seconds ahead of Jaco Forster. That is there in that second position. Too many Jacos out there in P1 and 2. Then there's nearly 12 seconds before we see Atti Nagel, Herman Lazarus, and Robbie Teings. And here he comes. He's making a comeback now. That is Peter van Zyl, 1.7 behind Teings. Mark Devereaux in the Verizon car. Then we've got Wayne Masters behind him. We've got Willem Pienaar, and behind him Leonardo Beccari, and 6.2 seconds behind him in P11 is Low Wrigley.
Unfortunately, Rudiger Schuster not been able to make it onto the grid. You'll probably find that he had some connectivity or ESCOM related issues. That was actually a lovely shot. You could see all the cars as they worked their way down the hill just before that. And yeah, he has linked in since. I can see it on my telemetry, but unfortunately not making the start of the race as such. So Robbie Teings having a little bit of an off track, so he is definitely pushing it to the nth degree right now.
Well, Gary, if you have a look at them coming out of turn number 1, a lot of cars have had issues out there in turn number 1. That is the Nicky Lauda curve. There is a big sausage curve there on that left-hand side. And if the cars pick up that sausage curve, then that throws them all over the place. This is a replay here of Wayne Masters.
That's a bit of a strange one.
Battle-scarred car sitting out there with problems. Remember, he had issues in the opening lap. That's why the front end of that Porsche is so very rearranged.
Sure. That was a bit of a strange one going off in literally... I mean, it is a bit of a curve, but it's literally a straight line that they're riding at that stage of the fight. So, on the top 12, it's looking pretty good. Let's have a look at the gains and losses.
Yeah, and down 7 is Low Wrigley. All the way down to that 11th position, and 3.6 behind Beccari. Herman Lazarus. Oh, trouble out there for Jaco Forster. Jaco Forster, that sits in second position, got himself in a serious issue here, and right behind him is Atti Nagel.
Okay, so that was the Wayne Masters issue, so that definitely was not connected at all. Then there was the Jaco Forster incident, which is that one. We're aware of that, so that's all fine and well. He comes back on track. Then there was the Leonardo Beccari incident. Also, just climbing on the gas and then touching on the grass, trying too hard to get it to go again very, very quickly, and that unfortunately took him out of it. So that's just some of the incidents that's happened. So, Frankie, let's go from the top and down again. You were saying that man Jaco Steyn?
Yeah, Jaco's sitting out there in P1. Other Jaco's still in second. So he hasn't lost his second place, but he's nearly 13 seconds behind Steyn is Foster. And he's been hunted down by Atti Nagel. That's the second behind him in that third position in that 78 car. And he is right on his case as they come out to the final corner. Then you've got Herman Lazarus 3.8 behind Atti Nagel. And right behind him, 1.8 is Pieter van Zyl in the 33 car. Then we've got Mark Devereaux in P6 in the Verizon car. And then right behind them, here we go. This is Wayne Masters, Willem Pinaar, and then the 23 car out there of Robbie Teams.
There you see the 57 and the surname Pinaar on the top end of the windscreen. And they're on their way out of the Niki Lauda curve and going downhill towards Rebus.
Well, Gary, if you can pick up Bacardi for us going into turn 1, you'll see that sausage curb there. That's the one that they're climbing over, and that's what's causing them to spin around in turn number 1. Well picked up there, Gaza.
Let's just have a look at that one.
You see that sausage curb there?
I'm trying to stay away from it in that instance,
yeah.
But that was just a case of trying to get going again too quickly and too hard on the gas. And yeah, there he gets it going again.
Okay, the sausage curb never caught him out, but it has caught out quite a few guys in the race so far.
Oh, no doubt about it. So one position up is Jaco Foster. Remember, he started on the second of the grid behind his best friend Jaco Steyn. And one down is Atti Nagel, so they've basically just swapped positions. But having said that, they might just swap back again. It's not impossible.
Well, 15, nearly 16 minutes done in this one. A big thanks to ASAP New and Used Parts. They in Pretoria West. And Atti Nagel just under 0.5 of a second behind Jaco Foster. That is second and third that you see out there on track. And they working their way up that hill towards turn number 2. Very, very difficult corner to work your way through. Here is Masters. He's got Willem Pinaar in the Michelin car. Right there on his case. Don't climb over that sausage curb. Woohoo! You guys are looking for trouble. And right behind him, 1 second behind Pinaar, is the Team Bolt car of Robbie Teams.
Yeah, I think that was Robbie Teams pushing it to the limit. He was lying in third position for the front end lockup. Good night, nurse. Cheers and goodbye. Have a nice day. And through goes Willem Pinaar.
Yeah, Wayne Masters loses that position there to Pinaar. The 57 car will be now ahead of the 20 car, and then the 23 car will be in there behind him. That's a Robbie Team, 0.6 of a second now behind Wayne Masters. So, will Pinaar be able to pull away from them? On the other side of the scale, in a second and third position, Atti Nagel is only 0.3 of a second behind Jaco Foster in that fight for Jaco's second. Remember, Jaco Foster had a very comfortable second position, then got it all wrong, held on to that second place, but between then and now, he's been hunted down by Atti Nagel.
I think they might just swap positions again. That I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Herman Lazarus, 4 cars up. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Herman not doing a bad at all. It's gone up 4 positions. He sits there in a P4 in the cheapercars.co.za. Atti Nagel in the iRacing SA car sits there in that third position, chasing down the JV workshop car of Jaco Foster. That is there in that second place. And while they are fighting with each other, there is nearly 13 seconds between Steyn and Foster.
Well, Jaco Steyn's doing a blinder, there's no doubt about it. He's just up dust and disappeared at the front end of the field. He's made no mistakes. Let's just hope that I don't curse the man by saying that. But he's made no mistakes whatsoever. And he's doing a brilliant job up front and just stretching it out and making it look so easy. Robbie Teams was in third for a long time. He's dropped all the way down to 9th. He's busy with the fight back.
Yeah, the Team Bolt car sitting there in a P9. He's 0.4 of a second off Wayne Masters. That's just ahead of him, and just ahead of them, getting slightly away there, is Willem Pinaar. Pinaar 1 second now off Masters. So they are closing up onto the back end there of Pinaar. So that's at fight for Pinaar 7th. Pinaar, Masters and Teams. That's the 3 cars that's going through your screen there. into that left right hand little kink as they work their way down towards the Rindt corner. That's named after the 1970 world champion Jochen Rindt. That's a replay here of Masters going off and losing that position there to Pino. That's what happened a little bit earlier on. And we're back live again, and they're going into the pits. 20 minutes into the pits, you can say, and we've got two pit stoppers, Wayne Masters and Robbie Teens.
So that's 20 minutes out of 45.
Yeah, I said 25. Okay.
Well, yeah,
prove me wrong this time.
In general, they do tend to go in a little bit later. But so be it. That's what the guys decided. And, well, Wayne Masters is already out of the pits. Robbie Teens is still in the pits, so you might find he's got a little bit of damage that he's tending to there. Atinachel trying to recover that position behind the Jaco Forster.
Yeah, just behind the JV workshop outfit of Forster is Nagel. Nearly 0.5 of a second between the two of them, fighting it out there for that third position. They're working their way now towards the Rindt curve. As I said, named after the 1970 world champion Jochen Rindt from Austria. As they come through the final corner, that's the Red Bull corner, and then work their way down the main straight towards the Niki Lauda curve. That is turn number 1.
Yep, that's Niki Lauda curve. Well, that man's also utter legend. Just in that shot, you could see Jaco Steyn working his way into Remus, so it's the full length of the track between Niki Lauda curve and Remus that Jaco Steyn is ahead. Atinachel doing a lot of pressure there on the back bumper of Jaco Forster. See, nobody has done stops apart there. It shows for Robbie Teens, and Robbie Teens had a rather long pit stop. Let's have a look at the pit time that he was actually in. I think you'll find it's going to be a lot more than everybody else. 43.9 seconds. We'll have a look when the rest of the guys do their pit stops, how that one plays out. But I think that's going to be a lot longer than anybody else. Another man that's still pretty close to making up a position. He's in the top 5. And it's not going to be an easy one for him to be able to make up another position. It's Peter van Zyl, and he's looking at the back end there of Herman Lazarus.
Yeah, there's basically a second covering Lazarus and van Zyl for P4. There is Peter van Zyl right aboard the Peter van Zyl 33 Porsche as he goes after Lazarus, working their way down towards the Rindt curve, and then from there down towards the last corner, which is the Red Bull turn. Into Red Bull turn they go. You see the pit lane is there on their right hand side as they work their way down the main straight. Now climb the hill towards the Niki Lauda curve. That's turn number 1, and you've got to be careful of that sausage curve, guys. It's waiting for you.
That's neat. That's just up against the sausage curve, and you can see how it paid off, because that took him about a tenth, about the 15th of a second that he made up there. Now he's starting to close. Peter van Zyl onto the back of the cheapercars.co.za of Herman Lazarus, a man that runs an impeccable motor dealership down here in the Western Cape area. And Herman Lazarus taking out a bit of time to do the sport that he loves, iRacing, on a Wednesday night. A big thanks to ASAP New and Used Parts, who are the headline sponsor of the Pro-Am Series, the Porsche Cup for 2023.
Right, and then a big thanks as well to Motorsport SA and to Second Gear Productions for the streaming of this one. Right, Peter van Zyl still trying to get his nose ahead there of Lazarus. 0.5 of a second between them as we move up to that fight for second position between Forster and Nagel. There's 0.5 of a second there between Jaco Forster and Ati Nagel as they head down into turn number, or should I say head up into turn number 1, into that difficult 90-degree right-hander. They run over that sausage curb as Lazarus and Van Zyl also make their way towards turn 1. I'm watching Mark Devereaux sitting there in P6. Currently is 5.6 seconds behind the combination of Lazarus and Van Zyl.
Yeah, if you look at that long shot, you could see the next two in front of him, Peter Van Zyl and Herman Lazarus, and then going into the Remus corner just ahead of that was Jaco Forster and Atti Nagel. So some lovely long shots that we get here from the camera positions at the Red Bull Ring. Remember this guy, Frankie?
Yeah, he's nearly 14 seconds ahead of the other Jaco, and that is Jaco Steyn. By the way, he is there. He's still in P1. He hasn't made a mistake, which is awesome. In the iRSA racing outfit, and Toyota Gazoo Racing sitting there in P1. Nearly 14 seconds ahead there of Jaco Forster. But Jaco has got his work cut out to keep Atti Nagel behind him. 0.5 of a second between the two of them.
I must say Atti Nagel has come along very strong in the last 2 years or so. Remember, we've been going now probably, I think we've completed 3 years already of iRacing, Frankie, having started off with the Seta Corsa and then moving to the Pinnacle and into the pit lane. Into the pit lane is Atti Nagel. There he comes. So this is going to be interesting to see how long his pit lane setup is.
25 minutes before he came in, so I was more or less correct, because here comes Peter Van Zyl. I think the other guys that came in earlier either had car problems or maybe even drive-through penalties, I'm just guessing, but this is more or less right for the top guys to come in. Nagel busy working his way out, Van Zyl and Devereaux in pit lane.
So let's have a look at that pit time of Atti. Look at that, 11 seconds standing. Robbie Teings 43.9. So my calculation, my guesstimation, my gut feeling was correct that Robbie Teings was nursing some other problem with the motor car, and hence the longer pit stop as the guys work their way out of the pits.
Right, Mark Devereaux in the 3 car. That's a Verizon car working his way out of the pits, and Wayne Masters getting it all wrong on that sausage curb. Lucky for him, didn't put that car back into the Armco barrier again, and he sits there behind Devereaux. And will he catch and get past Mark, or will Mark just pull the pin coming out of turn number 2 and get away from him? We'll have to look and see. But yeah, we still need Steyn, Forster. Oh, Forster's in pits. Jaco Forster in P2 is in the pit area.
Well, that means the next guy to come through then will be Herman Lazarus, and Lazarus hasn't even come into the picture yet. He's still a little bit further back, and let's have a look. Herman, no wonder he hasn't come into picture. That's why, it's because he's come in, which then means that Atti Nagel is the lead car that has done a pit stop, and there he comes, Atti Nagel, and he's going to work his way through while these guys is in the pits. Atti Nagel is going to blow straight past them.
Now, but remember that Jaco Steyn has not made a pit stop yet, so he still sits there in that first position.
Oh no!
Nagel goes up to second and almost loses it. He's been attacked now by Pienaar, but Pienaar himself has not made a pit stop yet.
Sure. So all eyes on Jaco Steyn. If you have a look, you'll see the blue number 1 that's just come through Worthcover and is going through towards Rint. That is Jaco. He's got 42 seconds on Atti Nagel. He'll be able to come in, and he shouldn't have any problems there whatsoever.
So Masters and Bakari is also now in the pit area, which means that it's only Steyn and Pienaar that hasn't. And as I so speak, Steyn is in pit lane, and Peter Van Zyl, on the other hand, gets it all wrong in turn number 2.
So what does Willem Pienaar do? Let's see what he does. He's still a long way further back. I think Jaco Steyn will be in and out and ahead there of Atti Nagel without any problems. Let's see, Jaco Steyn there. He only stops now. Where is Atti Nagel? He's on his way out of Worth and on his way down to Rint. He's still a long way back. There he is over there going down towards the Rint curve. Then he's still got the Red Bull Mobile, and only then will he come out into the front main. In the meantime, Jaco is already on his way out. So Jaco looking pretty good, and there comes Atti Nagel and Jaco Forster. He's there as well.
Willem Pina has eventually made his way into the pit lane in the Michelin outfit.
Okay, so that means Herman Lazarus is the man that's now going to either be in a good situation or a bad situation, as Herman Lazarus comes out and he says, thanks very much, I'll take that position as well. And then he takes Peter van Zyl through with him, and he takes Mark Devereaux through with him as well. And that drops Willem Pina there. Willem only coming out of the pits now, and that means that everybody that is out on track, apart from Rudiger Schuster, that didn't manage to get onto the starting grid, everybody has done their pit stops. So let's just have a look at the times that everybody spent in the pits. Between 11 and 13.7 is around about the average. So confirmation that Robbie Teens is a long way back because of the fact that he picked up that problem. Now back into the pit lane again is Leonardo Bakari. Now if I've got it correct, that will be the second stop of Leonardo Bakari. He's been in once already, and this is the second time that he comes in.
Well, let's have a look and see, is this a pit stop or a drive-through? All the way through he goes and out the other side. That's a drive-through penalty for Leonardo Bakari.
You should be a commentator, Frankie. You pick these things up well.
Well, he just had a pit stop and there's no damage to the car, so common sense told me that that was definitely a penalty that he had to serve.
So there we go. Peter van Zyl all over the back end of Herman Lazarus. Herman in the top 5, intends to stay in that top 5 and not on the outer edges of the top 5. He lost a little bit of ground there as they come through the Red Bull Mobile out into the front main, and the pressure is on. 30 minutes have gone, 15 minutes still to go. They're on lap number 20. ASAP New and U Spares Porsche Cup for 2023, and it's been a brilliant, that was so close. It's been a brilliant season so far.
Yeah, Peter van Zyl and Herman Lazarus, the two of them are side by side. Lazarus sits there on his left-hand side, but he doesn't have the line for the right-hander, and Van Zyl will claw ahead there of Lazarus going into that right-hander. And here comes Mark Devereaux. He's now under a second behind the combination of Van Zyl and Lazarus is Devereaux. That is 4, 5 and 6. Those are the 3 cars you see there in your screen. And then not too far behind them is Willem Pina, and he himself has been hassled there by Low Wrigley.
So that's a view on board from the driver's seat, the left-hand side seat in these cars, up through 4th gear, and then just feather it down to 3rd. Oh, a bit of a mistake there by the cheapercars.co.za of Herman Lazarus that takes him off the back bumper of Peter van Zyl and links him onto the front bumper of Mark Devereaux.
Right, Mark Devereaux says, I don't want this P6, I want 5th position. He's a 10th of a second behind Lazarus as they head down into the Rundkurve, and then from there into that Red Bull Mobile corner. That is the final corner of the Red Bull Ring as they work their way across that start-finish line down the home straight into turn number 1, Niki Lauda Curve.
Well, that looks pretty close if you ask me. There's nothing much between them at all, with Mark Devereaux right in there behind Herman Lazarus, and then Peter van Zyl just ahead of that, 1.45 ahead. You can see just behind the track map. That's the silver car that they're busy closing up on right now.
Oh, it's a lovely fight there between Van Zyl, Lazarus and Devereaux, 4, 5 and 6, and then just behind them there's another one on there between Pina and Wrigley, but we stay with this one for a while. There we go to that one. That is Willem Pina that's trying to fight off the 44 car of Low Wrigley. There's 0.3 of a second between the two of them.
Well, fully packed grandstands, past COVID-19. That's fantastic to see. Look at that. Look at that iconic Red Bull, what do you call that one? Statue, if you want to call it that, Frankie, on the left-hand side of the picture there.
Yeah, that's a lovely piece of art.
Oh, I take it referred to as a statue.
You could. This was called the A1 ring initially, before it was purchased by Red Bull, and then changed the name, of course, to the Red Bull ring.
Mark Devereaux not that far behind Herman Lazarus. He was in 4th He's now in 5th, and he's got Mark Devereaux all of his back bumper trying to demote him out of the top 5. The pressure's on for Herman Lazarus.
Yeah, Lazarus has got a lot of work to do to hang on to that top 5 if he wants to keep Mark Devereaux behind him. But if I was Herman, I wouldn't worry too much about Mark. I'll get Missile locked there on Van Zyl and try and go after Van Zyl and not let Van Zyl get the gap any bigger between himself and Herman. But right now, I think Herman will probably be saying, I'm not worried too much about Peter at this point in time. I've got to try and keep Mark there behind me.
I was just about to say, I don't think that Herman Lazarus can get onto the back end of Peter Van Zyl. Clicked on the last lap times, and Herman Lazarus was in fact 14ths quicker than Peter Van Zyl. So even though he's fighting off Mark Devereaux, he's actually closed on the last lap on the back of Peter Van Zyl.
So PB there for Atti Nagel, a 132.379, and a personal best for Robbie Teings, a 133.383. So Nagel and Teings putting in personal best laps on lap 23.
Well, I suppose it's always good to have a change of scenery. I've said it 4 times. I'm going to say it once more. 34 minutes into this 45-minute race. Remember this guy?
Yeah, that's the guy that's leading. What's his name again?
I
think it's Stein, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 2 Jakkes, yeah. This one's Stein.
Yeah, that's the Stein.
We actually spoke about him about 15 minutes and 15 laps ago, and we said he was doing very well. And he's just going better and better. Atti Nagel, 12 seconds behind Jaco Stein.
Yeah.
He's made this one his own.
And then nearly 3 seconds behind Nagel is Foster. And then there's 25 seconds before we see Peter Van Zyl. But Peter Van Zyl's got problems. It's called Herman Lazarus and Mark Devereaux. And the 2 of them for the last couple of laps have not let Van Zyl out of their sights, that's for sure. With 36 minutes done, so we're nearly done with this one. And I must say, these 11 guys have provided some pretty damn decent entertainment. Even though the numbers were low, they have put up a great fight, and I salute these 11 drivers. Even Rudiger Schussler as well. Just a pity, for whatever reason, he couldn't make it out to the feature race.
Oh, he actually did pretty well in the practices on Monday and Tuesday night, and was involved with the pre-practice, the 1-hour pre-practice this evening as well. 14th was taken, Herman Lazarus was taken out of Peter Van Zyl in the previous lap. This lap that they've just done now, he's taken another 2/10 out of Peter Van Zyl. Peter Van Zyl starting to feel the pressure. Herman Lazarus should feel the pressure because he's got that directly behind him. He's not worried about Mark Devereaux. He's got one thing on his mind that's called Peter Van Zyl. He's looking at the clock. He says, I've got 8.5 minutes left. Let's see what lap times they put up this time around.
Well, they say attack is the best form of defense. If I was Herman, I wouldn't worry too much about Mark at this point in time, although I did say earlier on he probably is worried about Mark. But the best way to keep Mark behind him is if he decides to go after Peter and have his gun sight set there on the Van Zyl car, and that will automatically keep a Devereaux behind him. He just mustn't make a mistake, because otherwise Mark will nail him. No, Wrigley on the other hand is crowding the back end of the Teams car. Is having a look up on the inside. Hope he sees him there. Yes, he did. Well done there to Pienaar, but he's still got the legs there on Wrigley as the 2 of them are side by side racing down towards turn 3.
I almost thought that you had the wrong name, Frankie. That is not the normal livery for Willem Pienaar.
Yeah, he's normally got the Castrol outfit. He's got the Michelin Man.
There we go.
On his car.
That's the move.
Well, not quite yet, because Pienaar's not giving in. Pienaar is not giving in into that left-hander. Then it's a bit of a straight before we go into a left-right S-bend. There into the left-hand part of it. And then now into the right-hand part of it. And then a straight before we get to the second last corner, called the Jochen Rindt corner.
So Herman Lazarus is outside of the top 5, not where he wanted to be whatsoever. There's been a change-up. What happened there? Mark Devereaux went off track. Let's have a look at that one. Mark Devereaux, what went wrong?
Oh, there's
Oh, it was Herman Lazarus.
Yes.
That's where the whole thing started, and that was because Herman Lazarus was busy losing it, rolled out of the gas, trying to save it, and that just brought him into the clutches, and there was nowhere further to go. Having said that, Jaco Forster passed Atti Nagel.
Yeah, Forster in that JV workshop car, busy working his way around. There you see Nagel ahead of him. That's a 000 car. I'm not sure what happened there. This is a replay of Atti. Here he comes into view. Just behind him you see Forster.
I think
in fact it's the other way around. Nagel overtook Forster. Because remember, the two Jacos were sitting first and second, and it is now Nagel that put the overtaking move there on Jaco Forster.
It's not impossible that there was a loss of signal, and that's why it showed dropping one down and then showed one up, but there is no footage of the two passing one another.
Yeah.
Talking about passing, Willem Pinaar just passed a barrier very, very closely and got it back onto the circuit again. And you'll be super chuffed with that one. What a massive battle this one. Herman Lazarus has dropped down to 7th position, having been up into 4th at one stage of the fight. So he won't be happy with just under 5 minutes to go, having dropped all the way down into 7th. Low Wrigley getting past him, and Mark Devereaux getting past him as well.
Yeah, so Low Wrigley sitting there in that 6th position, and he's 7/10 of a second ahead there of Lazarus. That's there in P7. That's 6 and 7 you see there on your screen, and they are busy working their way around into turn number 2. That's a tricky right-hander, that, and then they work their way through that right-left kink and then into turn number 3.
That was the passing maneuver that we spoke about. Low Wrigley on Herman Lazarus, nice and clean. And Herman accepting that one without too much ado, and trying to hold on as close as what he possibly could onto the back end and not lose out too much ground. So let's have a quick shofty from the top to the bottom. With 4 to go, it's Jaco Steyn.
Yeah, Jaco Steyn, 11.5 ahead there of the man that is now in 2nd position, Atti Nagel. Now let's see, with nearly 3.5 minutes to go, can Jaco Forster 3.5 and 3.6? I don't think Jaco will get past. He might close up onto the back of Nagel, but this one could still go down to the wire for that fight for 2nd and 3rd position. There's Peter van Zyl crossing the line in P4, Mark Devereaux in P5, 3.4 behind him is Low Wrigley, and 1.6 behind Low in P7 is Herman Lazarus. 10.1 behind him is Willem Pinaar. 14.9, nearly 15 seconds behind Pinaar is Wayne Masters, that sits there in that 9th position, working his way out of the Red Bull corner. And then 1.8 seconds behind him in P10 is Robbie Teens. And then way behind him, nearly 40 seconds behind Teens, is Leonardo Baccari in P11.
Not a happy session for Leonardo Baccari. He's normally pretty smooth out there. No problems, no hassles. But unfortunately, just a bit of bad luck and a little bit of errors here and there that has cost him pretty badly in this one. And Leonardo Baccari finding himself down in 11th position in the absence of Rudiger Schussler that didn't make it onto the line. For those of you that have joined us late, this is the Porsche Cup, the MSA backed Porsche Cup for 2023, proudly sponsored by ASAP New and Used Motor Spares and brought to you by Second Gear Productions.
Right, Baccari in that 11th position, not a happy camp at all. But the man that is a very happy camper is the man that sits out there in 1st position, and that is Steyn. Now, Forster is not getting any closer to Nagel as we have a look at a replay here of Herman Lazarus once again going into that right-hander, and
yeah, that's where he lost the time, Frankie. He was right onto the rumble strips on the braking section, And he
track
had to
limits there.
go apart from the track limits as well, he had to go very, very careful on the brakes, and that made his exit a lot slower. But I think it's only right that we spend the last minute and a quarter with a man that's aced today's racing.
Yeah, that is Toyota Gazoo Racing's Jaco Steyn of iRSA. That's making his way up the hill into the Niki Lauda curve. That is at turn number 1. There is a minute to go as they work their way around. So this could possibly be his final lap.
Yeah.
If they're doing 130s and there is a minute to go, well, less than a minute now, and he's working his way through that set of kinks towards turn 2, then technically speaking, this should be the final lap for all of them, as a matter of fact.
I actually thought that I saw the white flag being flown as he came along the front main. Let's have a look at Peter van Zyl. He's going to work his way through. Let's see, do we pick up a white flag from the flag position? Yep, so that is the white flag. So they're definitely on their last lap. So let's enjoy that last lap with the man that has done it right, from flags to lights all the way through Jaco Steyn. And I think we must just actually herald this man for what he does for motorsport on the iRacing platform in South Africa. Utterly brilliant. He is a computer guru. He does all the operations in the background for the setups and the organizing and what have you. But then he is also the man that's instrumental in putting together all the videos and the previews that we get with all the information that goes out on the Facebook pages as to what's happening. It's brilliant. The man is amazing.
Right, he goes through the Red Bull corner and he wins this one with 8.5 seconds between himself and Ati Nagel in the 78 car that comes home in that second position. And he will finish 5.1 seconds ahead of Jaco Forster, that once upon a time was in a comfortable second. Jaco in the JV Workshop Porsche.
Peter van Zyl, well, he's had his ups and downs. He's had a couple of passes made on him. He's made a couple of passes on a couple of people, and he finds himself outside of the top 3. Remember, Jaco Steyn, Ati Nagel, Jaco Forster all started in the front 2 rows of the grid. Peter van Zyl working his way through the last corner, the Red Bull Mobile, and he comes through to take the checkered flag.
Van Zyl finishing there in that 4th position. 4 seconds behind him in the Verizon car is Mark Devereaux, car number 3, finishing his race. And then Low Wrigley finishing there in that 6th position.
Herman Lazarus, having been up to 4th for a long time, and then being chopped, hacked and banged and worked his way back down to 7th. Willem Pina coming through in that 8th position with completely different colors. You can almost miss him out there. Not accustomed to seeing him in those colors. And then the Bolt man, Robbie Teens.
And he's got a little bit of a fight there, but Robbie's done enough to finish 0.8 of a second ahead of Wayne Masters, that finishes in 10th position. And 1 lap down in P11 is Leonardo Bakari.
Well, let's have a look at those results of the race today. Let's see if the computer's picked it up for up. Yes, there we go. So let's just, for interest's sake, let's just have a look at the quali. Okay, so Jaco, Ati, Jaco, and Peter. Let's have a look at the qualifying. How did they go there? Jaco, Ati, Jaco, and Low. So Low Wrigley was the man that dropped down the furthest out of the top 4.
Yeah, so your podium is Jaco Steyn, Ati Nagel, and Jaco Forster. Jaco Steyn for Gazoo Racing, Ati Nagel for iRacing SA, and Jaco Forster for JV Workshop.
Yep, that's the podiums. Then Peter van Zyl is a privateer. He was a bit of a way back from that front 3, but let's be honest, Jaco, the 2 Jacos and Ati were very much on form today, as you see in the left-hand side of your picture there, the guys going back into the pits. Mark Devereaux is rounding out the top 5.
Yes, then Low Wrigley, Herman Lazarus, Willem Pina, Robbie Teens, Wayne Masters, and the last man on track, 1 lap down, was Leonardo Bakari.
So 29 laps in total that they managed to get through in 45 minutes. ASAP new and used parts. A big thanks from our side and from all the drivers' side for helping to fund this series for 2023. Frankie, driver of the day?
Difficult. I don't know. They all did well, keeping in mind that there was only 12 and 11 took to the track, and this 45 minutes went pretty quick. So, I'm going to leave this one up to you to choose.
I would say for a perfect attempt at excellence, Jaco Steyn. I would say it's a good, solid, hard and consistent drive, Atti Nagel and Jaco Foster. A competitive drive, not on the pace of the front three, Peter van Zyl. Bad luck, hardest trier, just didn't have that extra bit of pace and got beaten out on the day, Herman Lazarus. And then bad luck, I would say, Leonardo Boccari. It just didn't fit together for him today. For whatever reason, it just somehow just didn't want to come together for him.
Yeah, the bad luck, I'd say Boccari. I don't know, I just like the fighting spirit of Mark Devereaux. So
Yes.
I would give him my driver of the day.
Top fighter of the day? Mark Devereaux, definitely. So, Frankie, that wraps it up for this evening. The MSA Porsche Cup Series 2023, round number 5 from the Red Bull Ring, sponsored by ASAP New and Used Parts, brought to you by Second Year Productions. And we will be back with you on Monday.
Yes, for the Renault Clio Cup that will be this coming Monday. And trust me, that is absolute war out there. That's going to be brilliant stuff.
And it's going to be a size field as well from the Second Year
Sorry,
Production.
Gary, before you say goodbye, I do apologize. I want to say a big heads up to all the Cape Town guys taking part at Extreme Festival this weekend in, call it Gqeberha, call it Port Elizabeth, whatever. That's all the guys that's doing Polar Cup, that's doing Super Cup, that's doing GTC in Veschem Formula 1600s, and then the Cape Town guys that are taking part in the Kawasaki ZX-10R Masters. There's a whole list of Cape Townians in the Eastern Cape. So go for it, boys. Have fun and enjoy.
From the Western Province Commentators Association to all the race drivers in South Africa, keep it on its wheels, have fun, guys, and see you again in the not too distant future. Good night, everybody.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.